Hi, beautiful souls. Shalom. And for those that aren't familiar, shalom is just a Hebraic term meaning welcome. Okay? So thanks so much for being here. Welcome back to the Lotus of Judah 1111 Ministry International. And we're going to get into not only spiritual revelation, we're going to focus a little bit on the spiritual science regarding awakening the daughters of Zion, children of God, to truly reclaiming your natural standards in regarding to self-worth, honoring your temple, and cleanliness. Okay, if you're new here, go ahead and like and subscribe and share this message with other women of Yah God across all nations, so that we can rise into divine knowledge and reclaim what the enemy tried to distort. So today we're going to dive into this spiritual message regarding the rejection of feminine practices. Okay, and we're gonna delve a little bit into the psychological roots of penis envy. Yes, it is a thing in a patriarchal system. All right, we're going to also get into the spiritual science of cleanliness for the daughters of God. Yeah. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this revelation. So I'm basing this on the teachings. I can't take credit. Let me just put this out here, because I know some of y'all going to come from my neck, because you're going to be like, what authority do you have? Do you have a PsyD? Do you have I don't have none of that. Um, but my husband does. And I'm kind of like a student of his. And also, I got a lot of insight from the amazing MD, Dr. Jewel Pookrum. So, this is based on a lot of work that I got from him. Sorry, I was speaking about my husband when I said him, but a lot of the amazing work I got from studying the work of Dr. Jewel Pookrum. All right, which, she's really about balance and reclaiming our natural birthright of, being daughters of God, actually having self worth and value, and also reverence for our divine complement, the divine masculine. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this message now that we got that out of the way. Have you liked and subscribed yet? Okay, go ahead and do that. Thank you. All right, so let's get into our message. There has been a very long historical and a spiritual attempt to strip women of practices that connect us to our natural rhythm. Um, a lot of this, of rejecting our divine biology, is not of our own, okay? This has been a concerted effort to make us think that we can somehow rival masculinity, being in a patriarchal society, okay? This is all of a huge scheme. Um, a lot of things that have been projected onto us in regard to feminism, which seem to be liberation and empowerment, like, oh, you can do what a man can do. It was all a lie. It was a trick, a major trick to get us to not place value on the major responsibility of being a homemaker, of taking care of your family, because family is the core of civilization. And if there is not a base level of love and stability in regard to your home environment, everything else is basically built on very faulty foundation. So the push for feminism of getting us to just, be loose and lascivious and, want to be the equivalent of a man was rooted in division, okay? Distortion. It was not for our best good. All right. And so now that a lot of us are awakening to, wait a minute, we've been duped. You're trying to find ways out of it. And so the Most High has given me this insight, not for me just to hoard information, but to share this information for those that have a heart to actually feel these messages and to apply these changes to your life, so that you could actually bring divine order and correction within your family dynamic, so that you could have a better life, so that you can thrive and not just survive. Okay, this will require you to take some accountability and see where you have fallen short. So the rejection of natural feminine practices such as bathing daily. Wow, it's amazing that I have to actually discuss this, but I got to. Okay. So the whole process of veiling, as I mentioned about covering your head, especially during your menstrual cycle, afterwards, okay, steaming, um, which is also referred to as chai yoke, which is a practice that is still a monthly practice or sometimes bi-monthly for usually women that are of Asian descent still uphold that practice. You can actually go and get a chai yoke or a steam if you go to like a spa, but it's unfortunate that we're at this state in society where that is considered a luxury when it's actually a natural hygiene process. You're supposed to be steaming. You're supposed to be cleaning yourself out internally, okay? You're not supposed to be smelling like a corpse. Trust me, we've all had some moments, y'all. I gotta be honest with you, but you gotta get it together. And not having proper hygiene processes is holding you back, okay? And so we're going to get into that. Anointing your body through these practices, resting during your menstruation process, y'all taking off PTO time so that you can go to the casino. You need to be making sure you reserve that time so when you actually have your cycle, you can take time off. You're really not supposed to be around other people during that time because you are absorbing a lot of energy, which is why you become a raving lunatic during that time. Okay, and so when you begin to care for your womb, you begin to be more at peace, happier. Okay, and another thing, as I mentioned about chai yoke, which is so important that you make sure that you familiarize yourself with that. I'm gonna be doing I'm going to be doing some shares in regards to that because it's important because you don't always have to actually go to a spa to get that process done. You can actually perform a chai yoke or vaginal steam at home. It's going to require you to, use herbs like chamomile, rosemary. Um, Another one I can think off the top. What else? Hibiscus. When you use these herbs, you not only provide a sense of cleansing internally, it is also going to help you prevent autoimmune illnesses or illnesses that may affect your uh, feminine organs, such as your uterus and things like that. So I know a lot of you think that you can just bypass a lot of these hygienic processes because it's like, again, as I mentioned, we're going to cover penis envy later on in this, but you cannot do what a man can do. We're not biologically made like them. We have certain organs that they do not have, and it's for a reason. So when you think that, oh, well, I don't have to do this because guys don't, this is why you're stinking because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I'm sorry, y'all. I know a lot of us have been misinformed. A lot of our foremothers, they may not have had the tools to tell us the truth, and some may have weaponized this information so that you can suffer. But I don't want y'all out here being messed up. So I'm giving you some of the game, some of the knowledge. Okay, we have to decenter ourselves from a uh you know, competition type of mentality. Being in the workforce naturally puts you in a competitive mode. And again, I know everybody is not meant to be entrepreneurial. Everybody is not meant to have a home-based business, but if you are going to be in these very testosterone driven environments, you still need to find a way to honor your feminine energy and your organs because if you don't, it's going to result in you unfortunately acquiring illnesses and diseases. Based on the work of Dr. Jewel Pookrum, who is actually a physician, she speaks about a lot of like when people begin to have certain health issues as women in particular, and doctors cannot figure out why you're having these issues, it has a spiritual component to it. If you are rejecting your natural processes as a woman, your body will get into dis-ease, being uncomfortable, and will try to eliminate those organs. So this is why you got to begin to accept who you are as a woman, even in a patriarchal dominant system. So let's move back into the next phase of this message, the feminine body as sacred technology. So from a spiritual scientific perspective, the feminine body is like a basically a multi-dimensional ecosystem, okay? Hormonal, electromagnetic, and also ancestral. So in order to actually have, say for instance, you want to have a healthy and happy home environment. Look, we all have been guilty of it. We may be trying to say, okay, it's because this person is this and that this person isn't. But sometimes we need to fact check and we need to figure out, okay, well, what is it that I may need to do within myself in order to create harmony within myself? Because sometimes we could be projecting out uncomfortability that we're not being accountable for onto others. So this is why it's important to begin cleansing yourself. It may seem like, I got to do this again. Yep. But when you continue, for instance, you get up before your mind gets to get you to think outside of doing what you need to do, just get up and do it. Then each time you go to potty, I know this is basic information, but y'all don't know this. Every time you go to the bathroom, you need to be cleansing yourself. Okay, you need to be taking hygiene products with you when you go places. This is why you have a purse. A purse isn't just a fashion statement. It is because men don't carry purse. Men shake and go. Men don't have to do the stuff that we do. Okay, so you need to be carrying not just wipes. You're not a baby. Okay, you need to be carrying cloths. You need to be carrying soap. Yeah, we're gonna get into all that. Now, ancient cultures, okay, even in the indigenous Americans, okay, our Indian ancestors, and even our ancestors that may have been a part of the African diaspora, we were known to be very hygienic. We would go to different civilizations, okay, we would go to England and we would teach these people how to bathe properly. And all of a sudden now y'all don't know. So women were known to not only bathe at sunrise but sunset. Okay. Also, as I mentioned about chayote, we would use herbal infusions. We would actually steam ourselves. Okay, applying oils. Okay, this isn't just about being, this isn't about being goody two shoes. This is hygiene processes. So make sure you have oils, make sure you have lotions so that you actually cleanse yourself, so that you actually make sure that you're hygienic. That not only makes you feel better, it creates a sense of peace within yourself so that you can actually be at peace and be happy. Also, performing these rituals during the midday, throughout the day. Okay? This also resets your emotional energy. So when you treat bathing as a purification process, not just hygiene, not just a chore, you begin to honor the sacred energy that you carry as a woman. And that energy is also going to have an effect on people around you. They're going to also be more hygienic because you are. So let's move on to the next aspect of this message, y'all. It is what it is. I just have to say it. Penis envy. This is in regard to patriarchal distortions, okay? And I'm going to loosely touch on the psychological breakdown of this. I'm not going to get too much into this because again, I don't got no psychology degree, but I mean, based on stuff I studied in regarding to Freud, okay, penis envy is real. A lot of people envy the power and the way men are, but you can admire somebody without wanting to be them. Get what I mean? You can admire the power of men and the position they have without devaluing you as a feminine energy, okay? So claiming, for instance, reclaiming your femininity, you begin to understand that envy was not necessarily something you inherited, it was induced by society. Because literally, a patriarchal system makes it seem like, you know, men are just all powerful and superior. Okay, the male anatomy, represents leadership and authority. The idea that women should mimic men to gain respect. All this makes you feel ashamed of the fact that you actually have a feminine cycle. But Think about the power that you have, that you can actually bring forth. You can nurture and carry a life for 9 or 10 months and bring it into this earth. That's power within itself. So a lot of us are suffering from psychological distortions. And that is because we are rejecting our femininity. We're thinking that it's weak, but it's a soft power. Okay? When you begin to stop nurturing yourself, you move into rejecting the feminine, which could result in even women having cancers of the breast and the uterus. All this stuff, a lot of times, is because of our mental state, because of our spiritual state. Okay? And when you reduce yourself to bathing once a day, I mean, some of y'all, I've heard women brag about, I may bathe once a week. That should be something you're ashamed of. You cannot do what men do. This is why you reek. This is why I despise going into a woman's public bathroom, because it smells like something died in there. A lot of y'all, I don't hear the water going when I actually unfortunately have to go to a woman's bathroom in the public. Y'all are in and out of there so quick. Y'all don't even take the time to do a little bird bath after you use the bathroom. That is insane. What are y'all moms and grandmas and aunties doing? Y'all not telling these girls that they need to anyway. We can't think that we can adopt male patterns. So although our education is co-ed, you cannot do what the boys do. That's just, there are double standards, y'all. Suck it up. That's just the way it is. Okay? You being a woman, womanhood should not be associated with laziness. This is when you move into penis envy, when you begin to project the fact that you want to do what men do, but you're not biologically made like men. Think about if men were wanting to be like us, then we would have all sorts of things to say about them. So we have to move into a sense of accountability in order to reclaim our natural birthright and for there to be balance. This new wave of women that are growing up should be focused more so on a balance between the patriarchy and matriarchy, not one or the other, but a balance, working complementary, knowing that we need men just as men need us. Okay, so let's move into our biblical foundation for this message in regard to the sacredness of womanhood and cleanliness. So scripture validates that women were designed to operate with higher standards of purification, not lower. So Leviticus 15:19, when a woman has a discharge, she shall be set apart 7 days. So this wasn't punishment, you all. This was because you need time to yourself. You need to be bathing. You need to be resting. You need to be recovering. Also, Esther 2:12 says, before approaching the king, Esther underwent a purification. So this looked like she went time to lather herself with myrrh oil. She also took time to focus on her cosmetics and perfumes. So this process of anointing yourself, steaming, oiling, bathing, this is not vanity. This is not you just being full of yourself. This is how you spiritually prepare yourself. Bathing practices were understood as a part of being a woman. We honor this in ancient Kemet. We honor this in, the early years of America. Cleansing yourself, okay? You're not only doing something for your exterior, you're actually calming your nervous system. You're honoring yourself as a vessel, okay? According to Ezekiel 16:9, it says, I bathe you with water and wash the BLOOD. I can't say that on YouTube without getting striked. But I washed them from you and put ointment for you. So the Most High God, Yah himself, uses the imagery of feminine purification as a symbol for divine care. So in order for us to actually have the type of life you want, we have to move into honoring ourselves as sacred feminine. Okay? I just want to have a small detour, but it's going to circle around. But even when it comes to I hear a lot of discourse about women wanting to pursue relationships, or a lot of them are rejecting men altogether. But it's like you're talking about it every day, so you're lying to yourself. You want relationships, but you're not supposed to be in pursuit of relationships. That goes against biology, because even from the very inception, think about the fertilization process of an ovum. The egg is not chasing after the sperm. Okay, there's a lot of sperm chasing after one ovum, and the most dominant one fertilizes that egg. So you got it all backwards. If you're out here, you're trying to get attention from men, time a handsome man come around, you're just like foaming at the mouth, you're clawing at yourself, you're making noises. That you're acting like the equivalent of a man. Men do that. Men catcall. That is basically they're in tune with their biology. They do that. But you're not supposed to mimic a man to try to get attention from a man. You know, the woman that gets the most attention from a man, or men in general, is the one that is out the way. That's how you magnetize them. They're like, oh, she's different. She's not in everybody's face. So if you want to get the head honcho, fall back. Honor yourself, be discreet, get into your hygiene, make sure you're smelling good, looking good, and you're not going to have a problem at all. I'm just saying, you're not supposed to be chasing, you're supposed to be the one pursued. All right, so let's move into our next phase of this message, is the fourth phase, which is in regard to Indigenous American, okay, and also our African diasporic cleanliness practices. And again, y'all, I'm not trying to offend anybody, okay, because I know I'm reaching people of all demographics. So for my vanilla sisters and mocha, whatever, I know y'all are from all kind of demographics. I mean, y'all are all my daughters, basically, from a biological standpoint. So don't get bent out of shape because y'all all come from us. I mean, that's just the truth from a biological standpoint. But I have to speak to my demographic. I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, I just want to put that in there. So when it comes to indigenous cultures, okay, particularly native to the Americas, we held feminine hygiene as sacred. Okay, so bathing multiple times a day. Some of you may have grown up where this was a part of your customs, but some of your relatives may have been lazy and try to make you feel like, okay, you're trying to act like you're better than us. Ignore all that. A lot of women are assuming that in order to be a modern woman, in order to be a new age woman, you have to basically be like a man. You do not have the same internal makeup as a man. A man can go a few days without bathing. You can't. They may not come out and say you smell, but you do. All right. Submerging in water. I know. A lot of places do not have baths, do not have bathtubs, but this is why you may need to get you a actual portable tub, and you need to submerge. You can't just splash water. No, 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 no. You need to be submerging. Okay. Maybe not often, definitely not during your cycle, but when you're not on your cycle, you need to submerge. Okay. I don't need to go any further. I mean, this is basic stuff, but common sense is really not common. Another thing too, from our African diaspora, okay, we were known to make sure that we put oils and lotions all over our bodies. So every time you get out of the shower, I know some of y'all be lazy, but you need to be lathering yourself. This is how you maintain the suppleness of your skin. Your skin is going to be really soft if you put lotion on your skin. Okay? If you are walking a lot, take the time, lotion your feet, oil your feet, file your feet down. I mean, you got to do this stuff. If you're not going to get pedicures and manicures, do these things at home. Okay? These are not just things that you're doing to spoil yourself, because it in a way it is spoiling yourself, but this is a part of you maintaining your entire system. Because when your nervous system is nourished and calm, it affects your whole body. And then people that are around you, they're also going to be at peace. So, this is some of the things that we need to abandon. A lot of the colonized mindsets that was enforced on us. And all respect to my followers on here, y'all. Some of y'all, I may lose you, but it is what it is. A lot of Euro culture that was forced on us, okay? Bathing once a week. Come on, y'all. No, no. Reject that. Abort. Shame around your cycles, okay? Um, trying to outdo men. Y'all be at work and y'all be, oh, I can do it better than you. You trying to outperform testosterone. This is why some of y'all are having uh I just, okay, this is not my own work. Based on the work of Dr. Jewel Pookrum, who is an actual MD, a lot of y'all are wondering why you have to get electrolysis. You're having to go get waxed a lot. When you are trying to outperform testosterone, a lot of y'all be at work, and a lot of my European sisters, I hear y'all saying this. Y'all having all this facial hair and stuff because when you try to up level estrogen, it naturally, to survive, it starts changing to testosterone. Stop it. You cannot, yeah, it may seem like you're outperforming men, but your body is going to